Good morning, folks. Happy Monday to you all. Let's get the party started. You guys know how I get down. Monday through Friday, we are going live, 7:30 through 8:30. Let me just make sure we're good on all the platforms. We got a whole lot to get to today. Let me tell you. You guys see the tag. You see the thumbnail we have up there. All right, LinkedIn, we're good. If you're here on LinkedIn, shout yourself out. Actually, you know what? Probably be better if I share it, right? Let's check over. So it's live, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. That's primarily the I was laughing at this comment. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook. Yep. We're here. And let me just check you. So Facebook, we're good. And YouTube. Let me check YouTube real quick to make sure we're all straight. And YouTube. Let me make sure we're good on YouTube. All right. Checking, testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. All right. Good morning, folks. Welcome back. Another episode tackling turnover with teamwork. We got a whole lot to get into today. If you don't, first of all, after I take my sip of coffee, before I get started, let me just introduce myself real quick to anyone that's new listening in. As one Crookshank here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I build, what I'm all about, what you see here right there on the right side of your screen, it's all about moving swiftly, which is basically another way of me saying, or it's another way of saying, I should say, what I built, the business I built in a nutshell. All right. Is basically taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field or in the sports world and aligning it with the business world. That is, in a nutshell, what I'm all about, what this company is all about, what this brand is all about, what this show is all about, everything I put out there into the public, into the atmosphere. That's what it is all about. Innovative teamwork, baby. That's what we do. Dominate your space. All right. So before I get started today, forgive me if I sound a little excited. It's just been about a week now. It's been a full week since I've been on here recording one of my tackling with turnover teamwork episodes, because I just celebrated a birthday last week and I did one live stream with Kimberly yesterday. But I've been dying to get back into the motion, to get back into the field, because I enjoy doing these so much. I enjoy, speaking on topics, talking current events, especially this time of year. This time of year produces a ton of great content for me, or just a ton of great lessons for me to provide for you as business owners, because we see what's going on in the NFL. We see what's going on in college football. So many jobs are being lost. So many jobs are being taken. People are being hired. Recruiting is being affected. Families are moving. All sorts of things are happening this time of year, which provides me great examples to give you all as we move forward, because football, 100% of football is year round. Football is a year around to 12. It's not like they say, it's football season. No, 12 months out of the year, football is going on. It's year in and year out, which is why I love it so much. Which is why it provides such a great way for me to align the lessons that you learn on the gridiron, that you learn on the football field, align those lessons with businesses. All right. So before I get started today, let's get through some announcements. First and foremost, free boxing lessons. West Palm Beach, Florida. If you are in the West Palm Beach, Florida area and you are interested in free, you heard me correctly, free boxing lessons every 2 weeks. I put those on in the park, not far from the Wellington area. Just hit that QR code that you see on the screen if you are interested, and I will send you more information. Next thing. Business owners, if you have not yet be sure to go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com and download a very easily digestible 10-step process, then 10 bullet points that I put together for you that'll make it so your business currently, your team, your staff currently is moving in a cohesive team. That's something that you can implement right now. And patreon.com. Make sure you tap into the Patreon link. We have something for everybody there, regardless of where you are at financially. Patreon.com/as144, in which we go a whole lot deeper, and there's a whole lot more to get to in regards to taking the system, the universal system that I created to help your staff be more motivated. We align it with how this specifically helps your business. Okay. Here we go. Let's get into today's topic. As you can see, we're going to talk about, is it time for a change in Pittsburgh? All right. What has happened? Excuse me. Let me put it up real quick so you see it. What has happened? Just to frame this question, not only am I going to frame this question, I'm going to answer the question, and along with me answering the question, I'm also going to walk you through everything I did, everything I experienced last week for my birthday, like the birthday vacation and the birthday trip I planned, because it's actually it is very relatable to today's kickoff question. All right. Today's kickoff question, as you can see, let me put it up one more time, is it time for the Pittsburgh Steelers? All right, time for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 6-time Super Bowl champions. All right, they have won 6 Super Bowls, the most of any franchise in NFL history. I know the Patriots got them 6, Dallas, I believe, is 5, San Francisco has 5, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, known as one of the pillar franchises in the NFL, has had only 3 head coaches since its inception: Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. The question that is being floated around is it time to replace Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh? And this question is a valid question. I can't lie to you. I believe it is fair that the question is being asked, seeing that we're talking about a guy who I personally have just grown to love, from a distance, admire a great deal from a distance. All right. I just turned 36 this past year. I remember when he got hired, he had put it out there that he wanted to be a head coach before he turned 35. And now that I'm at that age, he gives younger guys like me some, just a vision and a way of going about certain things. But I'll get to all that as I move forward. But the question is coming from the fact that he has a really, really poor record in the playoffs. He has never had a losing season in the regular season. I think it was only like maybe 1 or 2 years throughout his 17 years being a head coach in Pittsburgh that they actually missed the playoffs, because they had like a 9-7 season or something like that. But for the most part, he has made the playoffs virtually every single year that he's been a Steelers head coach, and he's never had a losing season. Now, because he has lost in the playoffs so much, now the national media and people are talking about, oh, well, is it time to make a change in Pittsburgh? Is it time, has his message gotten stale? Has it gotten to the point now where Mike Tomlin needs to be replaced as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach? And my answer to that question is absolutely not. Hell no. All right. Hell no. You are not going to find a better coach than Mike Tomlin. All right. You're not going to find a better molder of men. You're not going to find a better leader. You are not going to find. So the people that I've been kind of tuning in as I've been traveling all over the place these past couple of days, I've kind of tuned into other folks and their commentary, and the people who take my side on this and say, no, it makes absolutely no sense. It's not a good idea to replace Mike Tomlin. There's no option B. Who's going to be a better head coach than Mike Tomlin? No one, right? It's just not going to happen, right? Now, the folks, we'll talk a little bit about the folks who say it's time. Their argument is, oh, well, look, I mean, Steelers fan, you're tired of just getting to the playoffs and always losing. You're tired of the regular season wins, and you're not getting anywhere with no playoff wins and all that. And that's a fair point. But at the same time, you have to understand. Look, I'm a diehard Redskins fan. I'm a diehard Redskins fan. We just watched last night their first playoff win in 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. I was 15 years, 16 years old, damn senior. I mean, a sophomore in high school. The last time I watched the Redskins win a playoff game was, and then from, then to last night is the last time we watched them. So for you to say, oh, well, because of his record in the postseason, that's a valid reason for the Steelers to let go of Mike Tomlin, that makes no sense. All right. And I'll give you a couple examples, because when I was in college, I played for Stony Brook University. It's right. Actually, I have it right here. I'm going to talk about that a little later, right here in my book, Transferring D1, right? There were multiple things I learned from the leaders, multiple things that I picked up as you play this game, and you play this game at whatever level, however high the level you go, once you reach your potential. Like me playing at Stony Brook was me reaching my maximum potential, because I was a D2 player, D2/D3 guy coming out of high school. But, my work ethic is what allowed me to get on a travel squad at an FCS Division I level. I was at my maximum potential, right? And because I was there, my mindset every day wasn't necessarily about playing the game. I played at the same level that Mike Tomlin played. Mike Tomlin played for a school named William and Mary, which is also on the same level as a Stony Brook. So a lot FCS guys, and most of the majority of football players that you meet at the FCS level are not necessarily guys that are going to be playing in the NFL. However, they're going to be involved in football in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They're still learning the game. Again, the height, the measurables, the skill level, the athletic ability, all those things just aren't NFL caliber, right? So a lot of guys that you see that played at the FCS level, you'll see them making major things happen in the coaching world and the management world, something I actually touched on in last week's live stream, last week's show. It's called They Ain't Just Dropping Out of Spaceships, right? So anyway, it was during my time at Stony Brook. There were two experiences that I want to explain to you, and then two experiences I'm going to break down for you as I continue to explain to you why it would be an idiotic move, why it would not make any sense. It would be a bad move on the Pittsburgh Steelers and to make a change at head coach. It's just not a good idea. Trust me, I'm telling you, it's just not a good idea. Again, you're speaking to someone that has lived through being a Redskins fan for my entire life. And I just watched the first playoff win in 20 years. All right, 20 years. 20 years, the last time we won a damn playoff game. And, ask longer than that if you talk about a home playoff win. But anyway, there was a captain, one of our captain on the team. His name is Tyler Santucci. Tyler Santucci was actually he's the defensive coordinator, at least as of me recording this, he's the defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. All right, Tyler Santucci, when we were at Stony Brook together, he was the captain. I was there for 2 seasons. So he was a captain 1 year, and then the next year he was a graduate assistant, right? And he's from Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I think Kensington, Pennsylvania, something like that. But long story short, he's a huge Steelers fan. I'm not sure if I'm getting him in trouble by saying that, but he grew up in the Pennsylvania area, so he grew up a Steelers fan. And I remember I was having a conversation. I don't know if I was involved with the conversation. At least I was a part of a conversation that he was having with somebody else, in which we did like most college football players do. We're just talking football. We're in class and we're supposed to be listening, but we're actually talking ball. Talking football and figuring out, talking what's going to happen in the NFL, talking current events and all that kind of stuff, right? And because he's a Steelers fan, I remember him saying this specifically, and it turned out to be very true. He said, because there was, I think it was either Antonio Brown at the time or Mike Wallace, one of these, prima donna receivers that the Steelers had to deal with, one of them. And I remember him saying at the time, he goes, look, our organization, referring to the Steelers, he goes, our organization is too classy to deal with criminals. We're not dealing with criminals. If you have anything going on legally, illegally, and all that kind of stuff, we will get rid of you. And I bring that up because when you're asking the question, or when you pose this nonsense and you actually insinuate that it's a good idea that the Steelers move on from Mike Tomlin, you are now so putting your organization on the line, putting your reputation on the line, putting the character of the franchise on the line, because this is not what you guys do. All right. The Steelers, you are not us. You are not the committee. You're not the Redskins, or old Redskins, I should say. You are not that team that just goes and lets a coach go, even though they were, for the most part, successful throughout the season. This is not the best way to do it. And then also, next thing I got to tell you before I get deeper into this is what we're seeing is, the difference between that time when we're talking about 2010, 2009 time when I was in college, the difference between that time and now in 2025 is the mainstream media has taken over the football world. The mainstream media has covered it, and it's all over socials. Everyone's giving their opinion. Everyone's talking as if they're experts. Everyone's talking as if they're in the Steelers organization and they know everything there is to know about football. That's the way a lot of people are talking. The way the commentary is, the way ESPN, the way we consume information now is you get mainstream media folks who are saying stuff that they just aren't qualified to be saying yet, right? Or qualified to be saying because they don't know the details. So I remember there was a time when I was playing that my Coach Chuck Priori, he's no longer the coach there. They replaced him last year. Shout out to Coach Kosh, by the way. I saw you won Coach of the Year, Stony Brook. I'm gonna try to make a trip to Stony Brook this spring, man. I went to Atlanta for the College Football Hall of Fame, and they had a lot of they had the Stony Brook helmet there. I'll get to that in a second, but I gotta make a trip out to Long Island to talk to the guys, man. So. But anyway, it was a situation. I remember we were like on our way to an away game or something like that. And Coach P he said it tongue in cheek, but there was some truth in it in the way he said it. He goes, regardless of what happens, it's always going to be either the head coach's or the quarterback's fault. Right. And when you listen to the commentary, when you listen to the people that are talking as if Coach Tomlin needs to get fired or needs to be traded or whatever it is they're saying that the Steelers should consider this, they're only judging the head coach and the quarterback. They're not considering the fact that, hey, if you watch the game this past Saturday when they played the Ravens, and by the way, this is all being sparked from a convincing loss that they just recently had in the playoffs to their bitter rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. They're not considering, hey, look, the Baltimore Ravens had that man. They had Derrick Henry back there. They were able to grind the clock out. A couple of the D linemen on the Steelers end were out. They were a little banged up. They weren't moving as well. They're not considering any of that. The people who are saying that Coach Tomlin needs to be replaced or it's time for them to move on from Coach Tomlin, they're more so talking from the perspective of, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields aren't the right fit. So because of that, they just got to let Coach Tomlin go because he hasn't been able to find a replacement since they let Roethlisberger go. If you listen to any one of these pundits that are saying that it's time for Mike Tomlin to be replaced, the only position that they're talking about is the quarterback position. That's it. Which, again, as good as Ben Roethlisberger may have been, when you look at those Steelers teams that were dominant, that were in AFC championship type teams, the team that actually made the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, there was the Troy Palomalus, right? There was James Harrison, the outside backer. He was a defensive MVP at one point. And again, you have our Hall of Famer in Troy Polamalu, and when they played Green Bay in the Super Bowl that one year, when they were competing at going on deep runs in the playoffs, it was their defense. Let me say it again for the people in the back. All right, when the Steelers were competing and making deep runs in the playoffs, their defense was nutting up. As good as Roethlisberger was, and all right, I'm not saying he was a bad quarterback or anything like that, but don't forget the Palomalus, the Ryan Clarks, even the James Harrisons. Those folks were nutting up defensively, and they were able to go on these great runs. So when you hear people talk now as if, Mike Tomlin needs to go, they're only judging him based on Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And that is the issue, because the mainstream media likes to turn this into a damn soap opera between the head coach and the quarterback, which is not football. It's not. It's one position. There's so many things that need to go on the right way for your quarterback to play well. Yes, it is the most difficult. It is the most important position, but there needs to be pieces around. You could win football games with defense as long as your quarterback doesn't give the ball up, as what we saw in last night's game with the Commanders and Buccaneers, right? So if Baker Mayfield doesn't give us the ball in that fumble, it's a different game. It's a different game. Baker Mayfield gave us a gift, and we took advantage of it. So appreciate you, Baker Mayfield. All right. And if you look at even at the collegiate level, right? Penn State, if the guy doesn't throw the ball across the middle, throw an interception across the middle, Penn State probably walks out with that game. Same thing with Texas. If Jack Sawyer doesn't strip sack, what's his name? Quinn Ewers. If he doesn't strip sack Quinn Ewers, it's a different game. It's a different game. Not to say that Texas would have won, but obviously the situation would have been a whole lot different had there not been defensive presence. And that's what gets missed in the mainstream media. And again, I'll get to that conversation another day. But let me stay on this whole Mike Tomlin thing. Let me take a sip real quick. All right, why the Steelers need to keep Mike Tomlin, and what exactly I mean when I say he's a molder of men and a great leader, and more so what he's about things that extend beyond the game of football. All right, I'm going to say it again nice and slow so you catch it. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to retain Mike Tomlin because he's more so about things that are bigger than wins and losses. And the game that he represents, the game that we're talking about, the game that is so damn special and is so popular and has so much attention, gets so much attention, is bigger, teaches bigger lessons than wins and losses. And if you let him go after a playoff run, regardless of how long they stayed in the playoffs, you are sending the wrong message and you're putting your franchise on the wrong path. Let me explain. It was now, I believe, either 2015 or 16. Maybe it might have been a little later than that. I remember this is back when currently I live in West Palm Beach, but this was back when I was living in the Fort Lauderdale and the Plantation area, that I remember driving to Orlando for what was called a USA Football Convention. USA Football Convention. If you're not familiar with USA Football, it is the governing body for a lot of youth football activities. For a while, it was like the governing body, the youth governing body, like the youth arm for the NFL. The NFL would use the name USA Football to make sure certain youth coaches are USA Football certified. They're certified to teach the game. They had like heads up certification, all that kind of stuff. So USA Football had a partnership with the NFL. And at the time, I was working for the Miami Dolphins Foundation, and I was also a trainer at Niron. I was making those two part-time jobs work in South Florida. So I was really kind of squeezing the budget back then. But I saw that the USA Football Convention was going to be in Orlando, right? And I made sure that I put some money aside to register for this USA Football Conference because I saw that Mike Tomlin was going to be the featured speaker. Had it not been Mike Tomlin being the featured speaker, I was not going. All right, I want to make that clear. There were other keynote speakers. There was PJ Fleck from the University of Minnesota at the time, Jeremy Pruitt, who I'm not sure where he's coaching now, but at the time he was the head coach for the University of Tennessee. And then it was Mike Tomlin. It was like a 3-day event or whatever it was. And the reason that I spent the little bit of money that I was making at the time, the reason I made sure I spent my money to drive my ass out to Orlando to be a part of that convention was because I wanted to see Mike Tomlin speak. Mike Tomlin was someone that I had admired from when I was playing in college, before I even got to Stony Brook. Got to think he won his Super Bowl in 2008, and it was around that time that President Obama got elected. So you had brother black man, brothers, our chest was kind of poking out high. We had Obama in office, and then Mike Tomlin goes and becomes the youngest. He becomes the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl. It wasn't about Mike Tomlin being the black coach that won the Super Bowl, because Coach Tony Dungy had already established that. Mike Tomlin now became the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl. So being black had nothing to do with your qualifications at this point. Mike Tomlin showed, hey, I could be the youngest coach and win the Super Bowl. And that's what he was able to do, right? So, I get to the USA Football Convention, in which he was a featured speaker of. And I remember watching, taking everything in, because at this time, again, I'm establishing my business. I'm in the state. I'm in the area in which I always wanted to be in. I'm in Florida now. This is where I wanted to live. This is where I wanted to really plant my flag and build my business. So I'm at this USA Football Convention, and I'm taking it all in. You got to think, I was working for the Dolphins at the time, and I'm also doing this stuff. I'm becoming a boxing trainer at 9 Rounds. So my skill set is being added. There's a lot of just information. I'm taking it over and over, whether it be from the breakout sessions, whether it be from the other attendees, whether it be just the networking and everything at this USA Football Convention was probably, if I had to pick a top 5 events, that maybe top 10 events that I've been to that were help my personal and professional development, this USA Football Convention would easily make the list, right? So I remember really looking forward to Mike Tomlin's speech and how he was going to deliver, his mannerism, how he's going to address this group of youth coaches. This was at least close to maybe 100, close to 200 coaches there, all coaching football, all there to see Mike Tomlin speak. Again, if he's the keynote speaker, you're going to get a lot of people registering for it. So I watched Jeremy Pruitt, who went up at the time. He was the head coach at the University of Tennessee. And it's not that he gave a bad speech or gave a speech that wasn't good, but it was one of those things where you saw he had it planned. So he put some film up. He was basically, at this point, these were 2 college coaches. So whenever they're in a room of other coaches, it becomes a sales pitch at some point, because they're in college and they got to recruit. They are the recruiters. They are the ones that are going out and trying to build connections and make sure every high school coach likes them and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, the college keynote speakers like PJ Fleck, and this particular one was PJ Fleck for the University of Minnesota, and it was Jeremy Pruitt. All right, so they gave good speeches, but it was kind of tainted because of the level. Yeah, hold on a second. Because of the level that they coach at, right? But then Mike Tomlin finally, right, at the final day, it was the final day of the convention, and Mike Tomlin finally addresses this room of coaches, mixed older veteran coaches, younger coaches like me, people that are kind of in the football, not in the football coaching world, but take the football coaching lessons and apply it to certain things, certain parts of business. Every angle of football coaching you can imagine was at this, every type of football coaching you can imagine was at this particular convention, right? So he gets up there, and I'll never forget, because the first thing he says is, look, I don't got no notes. Just like me with this show, right? I don't got no damn notes. I have a couple points here that I'm going to touch on. And being the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to just talk to you guys about my journey and how the game of football, how you as men, as leaders, as coaches, as adults, how you guys can influence young minds based upon your authenticity and how real you are with the families, with not just the players. All right, the players, yes, they're one thing, but also the families and the organization, the people that are willing to sponsor you, all of the facets that come with the game, right? So he gets up there and he starts off his speech. I'll never forget it, because he starts off his speech by talking about when he played. And I got to think, at this point, I've heard this. I mean, I used to watch tons of videos with him and tons of his press conferences, because there was so much of his mannerism that I was trying to pick up on and just learn because he's one of the GOATs, right? So, he starts off by talking about his playing career and how, he used to be back there catching punts. How, like, when you talk about the game molding you and getting over your fears, he started off by putting us kind of in his world as a young person, how he felt when it was time for him to catch a punt, and you're looking up but you don't know what's going on. And he started off, and then he tailored everything from that point of the speech. It was just simply about explaining to the adults, the coaches in the room, the close to 200 coaches in the room, why the game has got to be bigger than the W or the L. And you have to represent that as adults. You have to represent that as adults in this game, whether you're just talking about it as a football guy, as an educator, teacher, whatever it is. You have to be the one that represents, hey, this game is going to be a whole lot bigger than that scoreboard, whatever the scoreboard says at the end of the game. It's going to be about how you approach your day to day. So he goes on for I'd say maybe 25 to 30 minutes explaining that and going into stories and certain things about that. But then he opened it up for questions. And here's really where I want to get you. There's two questions that were asked that I got to address it. I will give you guys a recap of my birthday trip, because it all kind of relates, right? So it was the first question. The first question was it was a coach that lived in some small town in Arkansas, like a really small town. And he started off his question by saying, yeah, you probably don't know where my city is or my state is. He was kind of humble as he asked Mike Tomlin this question. Now, this is a huge arena, so people had to give him microphones and they had to be facilitated as they were asking their question, right? And then before he finished his question, he goes, yes, I know where that is, because I used to coach at such and such and such and such and such and such, and I used to recruit that area. So there, you see what I mean? And I don't even remember what the question was, but the point of it is you have this head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's relating to this other coach who is probably, doing it voluntarily because he lives in such a small city, and just having that sort of connection, those ties. That's what this game is all about. It's meant to bring minds together. It's meant to bring men together and work together, because there's a common goal. There's a common experience that you have that is meant to make you stronger, that's meant to toughen you up, that's meant to build your resilience, that's meant to build your mental fortitude. So when hard times in life do come, you're able to manage it. All right. So that was the first one. The next one I got to get to, because this was the one that I was hoping somebody would ask, or a lot of coaches wanted to know, because we're talking to the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he kind of asked it in a roundabout way. He goes, what recommendations do you have? This is him, asking Coach Mike Tomlin about what recommendations he may have towards internship opportunities, how to get a foot in the door, how to make it so you have an opportunity to coach in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. And I remember as he was asking, I was thinking about the time that I remember wanting to ask that question, because you gotta think, I grew up in Maryland, so I remember there was a time after college that I drove to the Steelers have their camp at St. Vincent. I think the name of the school is the school is St. Vincent College, somewhere in Pennsylvania. So I remember driving out to the camp and, shaking hands with some of the assistant coaches. And I remember having a conversation actually with one of the guys who was just there for camp. And he was telling me, that basically this is how you do it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, when the question got asked to Mike Tomlin directly, this is what he said, and this is important for you guys to take in. He told the guy, he goes, look, I can't tell you how to become a head coach in the National Football League because I don't know how I did it. This is his exact words. All right. He said, I don't know how I did it. But what I can tell you that if you stay in tune with the camp circuit and you stay plugged in with what camps are going on this summer and start putting yourself out there as a person that is willing to go coach at certain camps, you will have opportunities. And then he started talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers camp that they do every year and how they invite coaches to come out and coach with them. And he basically went on to say, look, you guys want to do this? You guys want to do this for real? See a kid, start coaching them up. See a kid and start coaching them up. And that's all I knew to, because when you look at some of the moves that I've made since then, it's been just about that. It didn't matter what my job title was. It's just been about see a kid, start coaching them up. That's it. That's it. Forget about the titles. Forget about where you're doing it. Forget about the money. See a kid, start coaching them up. That's what it is. And then you can build, you can create something from that. This is why I tell you, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, it is a bad, really, really bad idea to let go of Mike Tomlin or to think that that's a good idea. And now that I've expressed that, let me just run you through my birthday trip. I started talking about it yesterday with Kimberly. Kimberly, we do something called Stay Hired Sunday. She's the founder of Ardent Solutions, which is an HR company. And I tried to condense my trip down as much as I could. But when you think about everything that I experienced these past 5 days from January 8th, my birthday is January 8th, from the 8th to the 9th to the 10th to the 11th, those 4 days were magical. All right. They were absolutely magical. And so much of what I've been talking about for the past 36 minutes or past half hour, it represents that, because the game provides structure. The game provides a sense of belonging. The game provides, if you buy into it and you believe in it and you're actually doing it from your heart and you are doing it for the right reasons, and the right reasons are because you want to get better, because you want to improve, because you love working with people to achieve a common goal. If you're doing it for the right reasons, there are going to be things that you didn't even realize, you didn't even plan, you didn't even know were possible in the future. All right. But you got to keep your antennas up. You got to open up your eyes. You got to really develop the resilience and the faith to know that the hard work is going to pay off. And it's so crazy to me to think about it, because it's like it's very much like you're in camp and you're doing up downs, you're in two-a-days, you're in meetings, it sucks. No other way. It sucks. The training for it sucks. You don't know why you're doing it, especially when you played at a school like I played at that level. You're not good enough to go to the NFL. You won't be good enough. Very few of us are going to, even if we are good enough, very few of us are going to last that long in the NFL. But for some reason, we're waking up every morning and doing this stuff, and you don't know why. Well, let me tell you, this birthday that I just had, there was an experience of why you do this. So I didn't plan my birthday trip until maybe 2 days before, because I was back and forth. For the past 3 years, I've gone on a cruise, and, normally I was thinking about making that like the annual birthday trip, because I have a Caribbean background. My parents are born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago, and I live in South Florida now. So, every year I get older, I was thinking, maybe this could be like an annual thing where I take a cruise to the Caribbean every year for my birthday, enjoy, relax, and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not ruling out, but for just something hit me this year that I just didn't feel like getting on a plane, and I didn't feel like getting on a boat. I really didn't this year, because I had done a lot of traveling this past summer. And like I said, for the past 3 years, I was already on a boat. So just wanted something new. And I just bought a new car. So, I got to deal with that. And I maybe going on a plane and doing all, going too hard, going too hard on a boat or a plane just was something I didn't feel like doing, just something I didn't feel like doing it, right? So I wanted to do something that was going to be more of a experience that I can take and apply to the work I do, because the work I do is so damn rewarding, man. It's so rewarding to be able to be compensated to tell my story every day, to tell the stuff I just lived through. It is so rewarding. Anyone that is getting paid off of their intellectual property will agree with this. All right, it is so rewarding when you spend 365 days out of the year just telling your story and applying your story, applying it over and over and over and over again. Hold on real quick. Let me make sure the Wi-Fi is good. Let me make sure we're good on the Wi-Fi, because yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, so all right, we're good. So what I wanted to do, my original plan was to go to the College Football Hall of Fame. I wanted to go to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta because, again, every year around this time, you got college football playoffs, you got the NFL playoffs starting, you got a lot of football energy going on at this particular time of the year, which is, January 8th, right? So because all that is going on, my Michigan Wolverines, we weren't in it this year. Look, good thing the Commanders, but as far as college football, it's been a rough year. I'm a Michigan Wolverines diehard fan, but my second team after the Michigan Wolverines, I root for Florida State, and they hadn't even worked this year. So, college football this year just wasn't as, outside of beating Ohio State, it was a long one. We'll say it like that. And I consume it. I watch it. I break it down. I analyze it. I just can't live without the shit, right? So I decided that going to a College Football Hall of Fame was going to be a great experience. The thing is, it's in Atlanta, and I live in West Palm Beach. So I've taken that drive from West Palm Beach to Atlanta before in one shot, and I had absolutely no interest in doing that again. No. Well, it sucked. It sucked. All right. It really did. It sucked. Now, it wasn't as bad going to, but coming back, it was a long drive. So I decided to break the trip down into certain areas. And I decided, hey, I'm going to go from West Palm Beach to Panama City, right? Panama City was an easier drive, like a 7-hour drive. And then from Panama City, I was going to go to Atlanta, spend a day in Atlanta, and visit the college football playoffs and do all that. What's up? Yeah, I'm in the middle of a live stream, but you can come in. By the way, I got to introduce you guys to somebody. This is my man, Ed. All right. And further down in the story, because of him, I was in Tallahassee 2 days ago, and I'm thinking about. Did it do it to you? It was him that told me if we transferred at FAMU, Florida State would be like Walmart. So I'm at Bowden's, thinking that it's gonna be like a cool, chill vibe. Long way away from I Google it. I'm like, FAMU. Slim. It's the same. Oh yeah. So I have the whole experience. I have it all here. I'm talking about it now, but I got a little further in the story, but I'll talk to you about that after. And then I saw the swamp. Did you get my pictures? Yeah. I saw the swamp, man. Oh, okay. But yeah. You guys got a sneak peek, but I'll get to that. Going to Jefferson City. All right. Yeah, he's getting me off topic. But yeah, so where was I? So yeah, I'm Panama City, and then right after, so what happened is because of the season, the College Football Hall of Fame was closed the Wednesday. That was my birthday. That Wednesday it was closed, right? And so because of that, I decided that I was going to go the Thursday. So the Tuesday, I decided to drop to Panama City. And then that Wednesday, I was just having like a nice beach day vibe for my birthday. Nice beach day vibe, nice relaxing vibe. And then, after that, I drove to Atlanta. And when I got to Atlanta, that's when I walked into the college football playoffs, the College Football Hall of Fame. And this is when, again, I got the legend, like these, packed the whole thing, dog. And let me tell you, so let me just walk you through my experience there, because it's one thing to just go, right? It's one thing to just go and enjoy the memorabilia and to be a part of it, or just to see all the things that you watch on TV. It's quite another thing to go and know you're actually a part of the nostalgia, part of the game. You're part of it. Again, guy like me, player like me that was a scout team player at an FCS school is a part of this, right? So basically you go in and they have you pick your favorite team, or the team that you want to follow throughout your experience in the Hall of Fame. And I looked at it, I'm thinking that there's no way that they're gonna have the Stony Brook Seawolves. You're like, y'all don't have no Stony Brook Seawolves here, man. Do y'all or anything like that? And he goes, hey, the guy who's like, running the kiosk and kind of walking people through the tour or whatever. He goes, hey, man, check it. We have it. If your team is here, your helmet will light up at all these helmets. So there's like a ton of helmets there. If you just go check out College Football Hall of Fame, you'll see they have a ton of the helmets there. So you pick the school and then that helmet lights up. So I picked Stony Brook and boom, you see the helmet right here. It wasn't this one specifically, but it was the gray helmet that we used to wear that lit up when you go on your tour. And then after that, you go upstairs and you see the third floor. You see all the new inductees, the people that were in the Hall of Fame. And then you come down and they take you around a tour where just legendary stuff. I mean, the Heisman's there, the national championship trophies there, there was a piece there where they had the HBCU. They had HBCU coaches like Eddie Robinson, some of their memorabilia. Then they had the kids there. They're playing the little NCAA Xbox games, and then as you walk around, one of the things that really struck me was being a kid from Maryland. They had the University of Maryland's uniforms, because you got to think that was the first team that had Under Armour, which was started by a former University of Maryland football player. So they had the Under Armour uniforms that me and my sister were at the spring game, because my sister graduated from Maryland. We were at the spring game in which they debuted these Under Armour uniforms. So, I'm walking around just in nostalgia, just this feeling of, wow, this is amazing to have been a part of all this. And as you walk around, they have, I strongly recommend you guys go experience it for yourself. I have an article. I wrote an article about this, which you guys can read on your own. But they talk about all the upsets. They even had a military, like they had Air Force and Army and Navy. They had like that military connection with the uniforms. So much of it was going on. So much excellence was going on in this, in just this experience in itself. So after that, fortunately, I have an aunt that lives in Atlanta, and she has two sons who are my cousins. One was there because my aunt, her birthday is the day before mine. So one of my cousins was there to celebrate the birthday weekend with her. And then the other cousin, her son, he's a graduate from Notre Dame. And this was the same night of the Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State. So, you guys, as I alluded to a little earlier, Notre Dame got the win because, Penn State just kind of blew it at the end. But that's neither here nor there. But after that, I got maybe a 2 or 3 hours sleep, because I had to get out of Atlanta really, really fast, because there was a huge snowstorm coming to Atlanta. So I got out of there, go to Panama City, got into Panama City about, I'll say maybe 4 a.m., got an opportunity to get a decent amount of sleep, and then checked out of Panama City at 11 a.m. And this is where, for me, I was still riding the high of being in the College Football Hall of Fame, right? Because like I was just telling Anthony, you have to pass Tallahassee to get to West Palm Beach. So, this is a Friday night? Yeah, it's a Friday night, or Friday, not night, but it's a Friday. And I'm thinking to myself, there's really no point in going and rushing back to Palm Beach. So let's add a little more to the trip. And for those of you who don't know, again, when I'm not rooting for the Michigan Wolverines, I'm actually rooting for Florida State. I like Florida State. That's my second team. And I decided, I needed somewhere to watch the Cotton Bowl. At that night, it was Ohio State taking on Texas, and I needed somewhere to watch the game. So I said, you know what, why not? I'm just going to go drive out to Tallahassee and visit the Florida State Seminoles, visit that facility, see what it's all about. Again, the goal for this brand, the goal for me is to build up my own school that one day that's going to be called the Move Swiftly School of Sports Management. So go to Florida State and I take a tour of the facility. Now, unfortunately, Doak Campbell Stadium was under some construction, so they weren't open to the public. Like, there's offices and certain things around the school were open for me to check out, but the stadium is being renovated. So by the way, I'm going to write up something on that as well, because the renovations and what happens on these college campuses, what maintains them, why, even though they're having a bad football season, why they still get the enrollment, why they still have the interest, why people still, the brand of Florida State is bigger than the wins and the losses, because of, how they're, reinvesting in the campus and all that. I'll have an article coming out on that sometime this week. But, after touring, so I toured the whole Florida State campus, and I think I have a picture of it. Let me just show you real quick. It's easier for me to just show you here, because this was me, and I am on this is it. Let me show it to you real quick. I'm just going to show it to you, because I do believe that Bobby Bowden is the greatest college coach of all time. So this was me at Doak Campbell Stadium, right around the Bobby Bowden statue. And, I'm talking to some of these Florida State folks and all that. So anyway, here comes the Cotton Bowl, right? So like I was just mentioning, the Bowden's is a restaurant that is right near campus, right? So as I'm looking it up. I'm looking it on my phone. I'm personally thinking that this is kind of a quiet bar where the older crowd likes to hang out and watch the game with no interruptions. And I was just going to have a nice peaceful spot to watch the Ohio State and Texas game, right? That's what I thought. So I find a parking garage in there. I, grab a quick nap, because I just drove from Panama City, Tallahassee, and I was kind of moving around. So I just slowed down a little bit, but then I wake up and then I go to Bounds and I'm hungry at this point. I'm going to Bounds to watch the game. And let me tell you, I felt like I was back in college. We're talking about like the entire town is out. And this is Florida State. These are different people. These people coming from all sorts of places in Florida. Now, again, I've been in Florida for a couple of years now, and I've met multiple females that have graduated from Florida State, and they look at me with this sense like, yo, Haswan, you really haven't touched down yet. I'm telling you, we're different. So I got the whole experience, and the cool part, the best part about the whole night, I mean, I needed something good to happen, because Ohio State won and I'm a Michigan fan. So I needed some good news that night. As I was talking to these college girls, I was telling them to guess my age and all that kind of stuff. And they were guessing like mid to late 20s and all that. Some of them actually thought I was their age and their college age and all that kind of stuff. And, I thought that was easily the best part of the entire night, because, when you work out and you treat your body right, and you stay on top of how you are eating and all that kind of stuff, then you can have that fountain of youth, and you can listen, man. That's what I was telling Kimberly yesterday. Look, so it's funny, because as I was talking to some of the girls, they were telling me, look, you have to be 21 to get up in here. You have to be. So if anything goes down, you're good, bro. I swear to God, I get to Bounds, I get ID'd, and they were telling me, like, these are college girls talking to me. They're saying, look, you have to be 21 to be in this bar. So anyone you meet up in here, you're good, bruh. You good. It's like, yo. And that's what you got to understand. The person I was in here earlier, and understand, when we were at Carson Newman together, we were talking about transferring, and it was him that told me, yo, if we were to transfer to FAMU, which is Florida, Florida A&M, it was just in Tallahassee. Then if we were to go transfer, which is a realistic spot in which we could play, we could spend our weekends at Florida State and be at FAMU, and we could just be like, this could be us. If you black girls one day. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. So because that was such a high, because I had such a great experience there, I'm like, you know what the hell? Let's finish this thing off the right way, because you can't get to Palm Beach without passing Gainesville. And you already know Gainesville, you get the University of Florida. So the next morning, I drove, I worked out. I slept in the car and then worked out at a Planet Fitness that was 24 hours, got my mind right, got showered up, got ready to roll, then drove out to Gainesville. Drove out to Gainesville that morning, and good thing, the difference between this is a Saturday, so now the parking is free, so I was able to park on the University of Florida's campus, and then the entire swamp was open, like the stadium was open. I think I actually have a picture of it. Let me show you a picture of it real quick, because let me see. Yep, there it is. Yeah, so the stadium was open, and there were people there. Actually, I think there was like a 5K there, something like that. There are people there running the stadium steps. It was pretty much open to the public, and here's where it all came full circle, right? Because I was in the middle of a social media detox. I wasn't posting anything. I put my post out the night before my birthday, and was off anything social. I was like detoxing for that 5 days, that 4-day stretch or whatever it was, right? And I wrote about the last time the Gators actually won a championship. Now, again, I'm not a fan of the Gators at all. Again, I'm a Michigan fan, and when I'm not rooting for Michigan, I root for Florida State. So if anything, I don't like the Gators much in terms of just the fans' perspective, right? But when it comes to that 2008 championship team, that year, that was the last year that the Gators were relevant. And that was always going to strike a chord with me, because I was in a fork of the road moment in my own life. I had just torn my ACL the year before when I was at Carson Newman, and I moved back home in Maryland, and the opportunity was sitting right there for me to quit and give up playing football forever. Yet I didn't do it because of that man, Tim Tebow, and what he represented, what he played the game for. And Tim Tebow, anybody that graduated in that time or played their years or graduated high school in 07 or 08 or 06, during the times in which Tebow was relevant on the field, we saw a leadership style that all of us can take in and apply to our own lives. So when they won that championship, and he was able to fulfill that promise and kind of indirectly send a ripple effect to everybody that's around his age, to keep fighting, to keep chopping wood, to keep playing, to keep going, no matter what happens to you. That brought the whole trip full circle, because I had just mentioned it. I just wrote an article about it before, the day before my birthday. And then for me to be there the morning, like as I was coming back to Palm Beach, and to kind of feel it and see the energy and see what it's all about. And like I was just telling Ant, being in Florida was the dream. It was the dream of being out here, because I knew the football and the fitness were going to be taken to another level. And those are the two things that I'm incredibly passionate about. So as far as the recap, what I'm going to be doing from here on out is Monday through Friday, 7:30 through 8:30 around. I'll be just going for an hour. We're talking about the topic. Tomorrow's topic, we're going to be breaking down the top 5 goals, top 5 things that I plan on doing for 2025. And in doing so, I will be, expressing how that can benefit you. But as I close you out, and what I do, again, like I told you at the beginning of the show, what I do is I take the lessons from the football field or the sports world and apply the teamwork lessons, apply them to your businesses. The way this translates to you, for you as a business owner, is understanding that there is such a thing called culture. There's such a thing as presence. There's such a thing as building a group of ambassadors that treat your business very, very seriously and love your business to the point in which they treat it as if it's an extension of them. you can build an organization that has that kind of presence. Whether we're talking about the presence that the Mike Tomlin brings for the Steelers, whether we're talking about the presence that a Bobby Bowden has with the Florida State Seminoles, whether we're talking about the presence that a Tim Tebow has with the University of Florida. It's your job as a business owner to bring in the people that can provide that presence for your business and become ambassadors to your organization. So regardless of how many games are won or games won, sales, lost, net, whatever it goes, whatever is met, regardless, there's going to be a culture in place. This is why, again, I kicked off today's show asking or explaining why it's a bad idea for the Steelers to let go of Mike Tomlin, because you got to make sure there are foundational pieces in place that regardless of if you hit the goal or not, the goal would be to win that championship. There's a culture in place that's going to keep you relevant. All right. So all that being said, if you want more to dive deeper into all my work, the main thing you got to do, patreon.com/as144, preseason, regular season, postseason. We have something for everyone, regardless of where you are financially. We have something exclusive community in which we're going to dive deeper into all these concepts. Everyone out there, as one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. Deeper into all these concepts. Everyone out there, as one